Masechet Batra Daf Mem Gimel, 22 lines down, continuing the concept about being able to step out of of something that you own. You're allowed to relinquish your possession. So Tashma, I'm going to come another idea. If someone dying and says, give $100 or $1,000 to the poor people of my town, or to the poor of my town. We'll see why I'm being midayak there. And the name midayak the people of that city and the judges of that city cannot judge and be part of that testimony because they are biased. The Gemara says now, if you think you could remove yourself, the poor people are the ones who are getting the benefits, but not the judges. How come the judges can't just judge? The Gemara says, maybe you might say, maybe the poor judges and the poor people of the town can't be involved in the court case because they are biased. The says, why not? Maybe they could just remove themselves. How come we said it? How come we can't remove ourselves like we had in our Mishnah? Where it says, over there also, where we had answered yesterday, when he's saying he's donating to poor people, to poor, it means it's referring to a Sefer Torah. But why is it called poor people? Because the Hakol everybody compared to a Sefer Torah, everybody is considered poor. And that's why you cannot remove yourself, because everybody needs to be part of the Sefer Torah for necessities of using it. People have a different answer. If you want to take it literally as poor, rather, it's really poor. Ani Malash actually donating for poor people. And why is everybody considered biased? Is because the responsibility of the people to donate to the poor people relies on each person. Each person splits the amount. So if, let's say they need $100,000 for the town, they all have to pay X amount to fill that. And therefore, everybody stands to benefit and everybody has their own allocation. And actually, but then we say 1 second, if everybody has to donate a certain amount, then let two people come, donate the money, so now they're removed from the problem. They're not biased anymore because they already donated, and then they could judge. So there's no specific amount, and therefore it's as a need basis, and no basis was already calculated, and therefore they're still biased. Where there is a specific amount, they already donated, and it's a specific amount. Maybe they're still biased because if they come out and they realize that they didn't need to donate so much, maybe they could get refunded, and therefore they are still biased. Okay. In our Mishnah, in our Batra, we quoted the other day, we said that partners are considered watchmen, paid watchmen, and they're chayav in accidents because they're watching the field for the other partner. And the guy pays him back by watching it. So therefore, you're a paid watchman and you're chayav for accidents. The Gemara says, there's a concept in the Torah that if a person is watching an item with the owner, you're automatically patur. So over here also, you're watching with the owner. The Gemara says, they're not watching it together. They're taking off turns like we initially explained it. And therefore, because I'm watching it Sunday, he's watching it Monday, we're not working and watching it simultaneously. The owner is not there the owner is not, it's not like the owner is there, and therefore I am not patur. Okay, to number 9. Someone sells a house, someone sells a field, the seller can't testify on it. Because the guarantee rests on him that the sale should go through. And if it gets pulled, he'll chayav on somebody else. And therefore, he's considered biased. Whereas he's machalo parah, however, someone a cow, machalo talit or a garment, he can't testify because there is no guarantee on it. So seemingly, the only difference between the first two cases, and the last two cases is real estate you can't, and the non-real estate you can. What's the difference? Why do we differentiate? The Gemara said in the first case regarding the real estate, it's talking about a specific scenario. But Reuven stole a field from Shimon. And he sold it to Levi. Yehuda then came and said that Levi never owned it. And not only did he never own it, Reuven himself never owned it. And it always used to belong to him. So the Gemara says, the Lord Shimon, who Reuven stole the field from, She can't testify that it belongs to Levi, because Shimon doesn't want to get taken away from Levi, right? So Shimon again, Shimon got his field stolen from Reuven, and it was sold to Levi. Shimon cannot testify that it was Levi's because Shimon would rather that it stays in Levi's hand because he wants to prove that Reuven stole it from him, thereby it'll get returned to him. Now the Gemara says, the given the Asid Levihu. 1 second. Shimon's testifying that it belongs to Levi, it was sold correctly to Levi. If that's the case, how is he ever hoping to get that the theft will be reversed? You just admitted that it belongs to Levi, then you can't say that it belongs to you. Oh yeah, no, he stole from me. No, you just admitted that it belongs to him. Again, Shimon's saying that Reuven stole it from him and it sold to Levi. Now Levi, Yehuda is saying that it doesn't belong to Levi, it never does not belong to Shimon, it belongs to Yehuda. Now we said that Shimon cannot testify that it belongs to Levi because he's biased because he wants to get it back from Levi because Reuven stole it and gave it to Levi. Now the Gemara says if that's the case, if there's a concept, the admission of a litigant is like 100 witnesses, which means he's admitting that if he admits that it belongs to Levi, then he can never get it back. So how does that work? The Gemara says, let's fix it. He can't testify. So he's obviously not going to testify that it belongs to Levi because, like we said, then it'll never get back to him. What's he testifying? He can't testify that the field is not Yehuda. Right? So he's not testifying on Levi. He's testifying, no, Yehuda doesn't belong to you. And then he eventually wants to pull it from Levi. The Gemara says, if he can prove that it belongs to that it does not belong to Levi, right? That's his plan. I'm going to extract it from Levi. Just use it to extract it from Yehuda. Use the same proof. If he's going to prove, oh yeah, I owned it 2 weeks ago and it's mine. Okay, so stop Yehuda with the same thing right now. Where it says, Damar, the same concept we have many times already. If you have two litigants and one guy's easier to deal with, whether he's a higher status of a person or he's a scary person, mafia, the second guy, Levi, I'd rather deal with him versus fighting with Yehuda. Therefore, he has an interest and biasness in dealing with Levi versus Yehuda. A different way. Really, it's talking about a case where Shimon has witnesses and Yehuda has witnesses. Hold them and you have two witnesses that contradict each other. Wherever the land is, it stays. And therefore, Shimon wants to stop the property from going to Yehuda. Because once the property reaches Yehuda, he won't be able to extract it, and therefore he can't testify because he is biased. Okay, but look, why did the Batra Daf teach you that the case is stolen and sold? Why not just mention one step earlier? The thief Reuven sold the field, and then, right? We said that the thief sold the field, and Yehuda is challenging the buyer, Levi. Why don't we just say Yehuda challenged Reuven? Reuven stole the field, and bam, Yehuda complains. Shimon can't testify because he's trying to take it from Reuven and not Yehuda. Same thing. Why did he sell it? In our case, the Gemara says, because we're going to teach you the second part of the Batra Daf. Why? Because the second part of the Batra teaches you the Hidush said, in the case where he sold the cow or sold the garment, he can testify. So the dafka simachar, because in that case that only works if Reuven sold this cow or garment. Because in that case you have two things going from. First of all, the guy gave up on getting it back, and also it changed possession, which allows the transfer to go through. Therefore, he can never get it back, and therefore he's not biased anymore, and he can testify. Avalomachar, in the case where the item was not sold, and Yehuda comes and attacks the stealer himself, the Reuven, then he can get back. Look, he can't testify anymore because now he's biased again. Since the second case had to be a case where he sold it in order to testify, so to mention the first case where he can't testify, we mentioned it sold even though he didn't technically have to sell it. Okay, in the second case is as well regarding the items. Even though true, he gave up from finding the item, but he didn't find up and he didn't give up on getting reimbursed. Meaning, if the guy got stolen and it changed possession, and now I can't get back that cow or that cloak, that garment. True. I gave up on it, but I'm still looking forward to bringing the guy to Bedin and getting the money back. I want to get reimbursed. So if that's the case, then he is biased. The biasness is coming back because he is involved. Or so no, let's see the mid gazlan. It's referring to a case where the thief died, and therefore you can't even get the value back. The Tanakh Mishnah says, "Hagozel ma'achil banav." Someone stole something and give it to his kids, beniach him, or he left it as an inheritance. Peturim mishlim, the kids do not have to pay. Therefore, in that case, Shimon was not able to get it back, and therefore he's able to testify. If that's the case, then just mention the case where the stealer's kid died instead of the buyer. Why have to mention that, oh, he sold it to Levi and Levi died? Let it be Reuven who died. And now you're trying to get it back from Reuven's kids, and the same thing, you can still testify. Where I said, that only makes sense according to the possession of an inheritor is not compared to the buyer, the possession of the buyer, which means that when a kid takes his father's possession via inheritance, that's considered like his own and not change. Okay? So this opinion holds that the inheritor is not like a buyer. Therefore, that would fit with this opinion because in that type of case, the transfer from the stolen item to the kids will not prevent Shimon from recovering it because and if it was sold, because he holds that it's not considered like a buyer. Therefore, we have to mention the case of the stealer and sold because that in that case the inheritance will be transferring over, and then he can't claim it. Where the inheritor is like a buyer, and therefore it is a good transfer. How come you have to mention where the thief died? It could have been the same thing as a buyer. They equated the two things. The odd kasha, another question is, our Braita said that, oh, because the guy's responsibility, he's biased. That's not the case. We didn't say he was biased or he had responsibility or he's worried about the loan having to repay it twice. That's what we mentioned. We explain it differently. Our Braita should have said that we're worried about that the guys were worried about the stolen property coming back to him. That's how we should explain. That's how the wording of the Braita should have said. Meaning, again, the Braita mentioned initially, oh, the guy is worried about the responsibility. That's why he can't testify. Abaye is asking another question of Shashat, saying, according to the way we're explaining these cases where the item was stolen, it has nothing to do with responsibility, but rather the guy wants to get the stolen item back. And that's why he knocks out Shashat's explanation.